Hey, you know what time it is. Alright, so this is our third in a series of analysis videos for ladder season 12. This is a ladder A match, Knight versus Eterpay. My name is Nerk, and I'm here with, I think, what you could call one of my greatest students. Um, yeah. Who are you anyway?
Hello, I am Klempfer, and I am I am one of Nerk's students of the old. When I joined,
Told him everything you know.
Nerk was indeed more experienced than I was, so not necessarily incorrect.
That's my justification for being here is already there. Awesome. All right, so this matchup, we're going to be seeing something slightly similar, 50% similar to our last video, actually. We've got a Meiling versus Sakuya matchup this time, which is good for our current representation here. You're a Sakuya main, and you
Yes,
know a
that's
lot
true.
about this.
Yes,
So,
I
yeah.
specifically actually, because of the region we're in, I end up playing Knight, who is the Meiling in this video quite often. So hopefully, I guess I can comment. We can start with what the matchup tends to play out like when I play against Knight. So
Okay. So what do you think going into this matchup? The general goal of each character is like who's the aggressor, who wants to sort of play more defensive. Like, yeah, what's the
Okay.
game flow?
So specifically against Knight, which is my main Meiling opponent, and he's also very used to my Sakuya in particular. That's important to note. He tends to be the one who initiates approaches in neutral, taking advantage of Meiling's speed, and I guess her ability to close in without as much bullet cover. I believe Sakuya, she has an easier time in this matchup if she can first create space and then get some bullets out, or try to snag Meiling in her
Right.
kind of aerial air dash, J6A, very strong air melee approaches at a fixed angle.
So Meiling wants to immediately establish close range, but if she can't, if Sakuya does manage to get away from her at the start, then what can Meiling?
I find that Knight does a good job just kind of setting up patient C bullet cover and kind of 6Cs to get a bit more feel out the mid range of neutral and try to force a reaction from Sakuya. Obviously, in a direct bullet contest, she won't be able to clear what Sakuya has, so something that you'll probably see Knight doing is a lot of movement to just, get to a neutral area if he feels like he can't get a advantage going on, and just kind of wait on the Sakuya's movement to see if there's any kind of opening created by either her spirit or the kind of bullets she did, whether she misread what the Meiling would do. I feel like Sakuya takes a slightly more defensive approach in this matchup simply because of how quickly Meiling can get and how sticky she can be once
Right.
she
Yeah.
gets in.
Okay. All right. We'll see how both players do it.
Hmm.
All right, start.
Okay, just so this is a ladder A match. Both these players are definitely our more experienced players. Okay. Eterpay could have J6-8 after that jump for the limit, I think, but no problem there.
River missed.
Yep,
How does this
okay.
affect both players' kind of approach? Like, both. I feel like this affects Knight more than it affects Eterpay, just because of Knight insistence on sort of keeping the choke, right?
That's true. Obviously, River Mist is generally going to create more room for both players. And going by what I said earlier, I think that benefits Sakuya more here. Of course, at higher levels, you can actually learn how the River Mist starts and what kind of motion it does. It's actually documented, but I'm not sure if these players are aware of it, so it might be a bit harder for them to really kind of get a hold of how it moves. So the effect will be just creates more space, makes it harder for them to space their melees, resulting in a lot more things missing. With Meiling's less kind of oppressive bullet cover, I feel like she's going to have a harder time getting in meaningful bullet cover and meaningful approaches against Sakuya. And of course, she's not going to be able to stick to her, which is one of the big things that she's got going for her.
Now, I feel like we're only a few, like, 10 seconds in, but Meiling's already lost half of her life. Are there any like technical decisions or anything that you want to go through that cause Meiling to just be at such a life disadvantage?
I think if you can rewind just a moment to where the big hits happened.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, so the first thing looks like it was a glancing hit, not too much damage there. If you look at this, okay. Oh,
Okay.
she got crossed up by her. I guess you could say she crossed herself up there. A bit unfortunate. Eterpay got a nice limit combo there.
Then the River Mist activates, no meaty, but that's
fine. River
the
Mist
dash under, that's fine. We reset the spacing. Trying to create space. Now, I don't know, I guess it's in Knight's best interest to just swing for the fences and hope something happens, because Sakuya can't really confirm either is the other thing.
That's
but
true.
if Knight gets a big counter hit, it's a good knockdown and it extends it takes away from the River Mist time.
Yeah, that's something that happens a lot is Sakuya. When you're at further ranges, because the 6A has a lot of forward reach, it catches a lot of people trying to dash into you, or kind of trying to make a move that they just think they're out of your pressure. So that's something good to see Eterpay doing.
Okay.
With just that, not too many interactions, Knight's already losing pretty badly here, so...
Yeah, well, I think the border escapes have already been so on point for both players. They're both doing...
Eterpay gets the heavy fog gone, which is great for him, bad for Knight, comeback weather gone. Eterpay could have limited off that 2B hit with a forward high jump J2B, but that's okay.
Okay, do you want to discuss that jump 2A and its usage? Like that border escape looked pretty free, but it looked like it was free because of the Eterpay's neutral jump. Is that the case, or is it just that?
Let's just rewind a moment to that bit. I believe it's just a case of high jump J2A. Hold on. So we've got the string. Yep, 2C into high. Yeah, okay. So J2A there is unable to catch Bs off the 2C, or even, of course, the melee before the 2C. The J2A there is kind of an option that's designed to catch them high jumping out as a read of J2B, or simply dashing out. Unfortunately, as we saw there, it cannot catch BE.
Yeah, so if you're expecting border escape as Sakuya, what's your go-to option, just as like the safest way to catch a border escape?
Okay, well, 2C, the fact that Eterpay is doing a 2C at all after the 6A is indicative that he's not expecting a border escape on the 6A. Or he's not really acting in a way that is good at countering it. So one option is simply leaving the 6A uncancelled, because if you do that and they border escape the 6A, you're going to have a frame advantage when you high jump after them.
Okay, that's good advice.
Yeah.
And then you can chase down the border escape if you see it, right?
That's
but you
correct.
have to be aware. That requires sort of reactions to the border escape when you already did a string where you clearly weren't expecting one. So I guess a very high level tactic, which is...
Yeah, so the 2C, which he did in itself, kind of weakens his ability to chase it, but he could have done... I think the border escape was on the 2C, so he could have done a high jump J5A read. This can't be on reaction like the uncancelled 6A chase.
Right.
You probably see it at a quite common at more middle levels of play, I find. It's a bit risky because if the J5A misses because they crouch, you do open yourself up to a punish. But
Okay.
it is important to threaten now and then to just discourage border escapes on that 2C, I guess. And the most basic option is, of course, 623B, which is even more punishable in block. But at least it will lead to a knockdown on hit, like the J5A will as well. So kind of up to Eterpay which one he wants to use there.
Okay, well, he's seen it now. We'll see how he adapts from here on in and see if he's aware of the options.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's right. Alright, let's move on.
Put it up to full speed for now. Tempest. Pretty
Okay.
fast paced.
It becomes a bit hard to escape Meiling's extreme speed and Tempest, I find.
On the other hand, it becomes very easy to reset to neutral, right?
That's correct. It's quite easy to just walk out of pressure during Tempest, for example. Backstep becomes really good.
Okay, nice border escape. I think that was really good. He could have got the punish there.
Yeah, he could have. Unfortunate combo drop that would have taken the game. Really need to be on top of those, I think. Good 2B by Eterpay, trying to not guard in Sakuya. Unfortunately, he gets crushed anyway. Good knockdown by Knight. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So, I don't know if it needs to be stated, but yeah, definitely could have got the kill combo there. But I think what the other thing that needs to be stated is that I don't think Eterpay actually went for anything there. I think he went jab jab, and then there was just like, yeah, nothing, like catching the air tech.
Yeah,
go for it if you've got it, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, the option itself was pretty interesting from Knight. It's I might want to pause for a second actually. Sorry.
Yeah.
I the raw J8A there is a pretty high committal option, I think, especially because it's designed to, I guess, catch border escapes on the 2B, which I guess is something that you'd expect players to do as a kind of natural reaction to do it there. But if J8A misses, it really opens you up to being punished, like you saw there, although Eterpay didn't get the full thing. Meiling's really kind of open on whiff. The benefit of J8A there is though that if they did keep blocking and they didn't react like Eterpay did with the walkout, the second J8A hits them and you can kind of continue pressure with an airtight bullet, I guess. Unfortunately though, Eterpay was crouching and it missed completely, and that would have normally been the game round for Eterpay, but I guess he was a bit unfamiliar with the vulnerability of J8A whiffing. Yeah,
most likely. I think you'll see later on in this match that the hard callouts from Knight is going to be a general theme from here on out. Let's yeah. Would you have activated right there?
Oh, that was a
2 cost.
I think hold on, could you go back, play that bit in slow motion?
Right here, when he gets the Hungeki, switch to the 2 cost, activate right now, try to get the final hit. That's my thinking. What are your thoughts?
I mean, at that range, killing Doll is, especially against Meiling, it's gonna be very hard to do anything with the killing Doll. Knight could just roll back or even wake up on the spot and high jump out, and it would completely neutralize the killing Doll. Eterpay wouldn't even be able to get him to block it. So I actually think it was a decent move by Eterpay to go to the skill card there. But at this HP difference, I'd really be focusing on that imaginary vertical time, the second card in Eterpay's hand. Anything to kind of force an advantage in neutral would be a great way to salvage the situation in his favor, I guess. But yeah, so there, he takes a glancing hit.
Right, lands and then tries to up back.
Oh.
Okay, low profile.
Oh, interesting that missed, but okay.
Yeah, so I think you wanted to talk about why that hit.
Okay. So I don't have the ability to draw on the screen right now, but if you look at Eterpay's inputs when he got hit there, he held 6 for just a moment. Now, based off the earlier kind of what would normally have ended the game J8A with from Knight, what I suspect is that Eterpay saw the 2B, which is what Knight went into J8A off last time, and he wanted to do the same kind of walkout. So he kind of instinctively flinched and pressed the 6 button in reaction to the 2B. I suspect, as you can see, unfortunately that made him stop guarding for a moment, and Sakuya was very sad and lost that round.
Alright.
Yeah, that's some kind of conditioning from Knight. Normally that would be airtight. Possibly that was on purpose from him, which would be very clever if he was reading into that situation. But yeah, so we're going to the second round. Big comeback from Knight.
Yeah, that was a big comeback from half health down. Very tight block strings from Knight so far, not really representing the jump cancels with Bull.
Yeah, if you can go back just a moment to about 235, there's something interesting regarding conditioning that we can see.
Yeah.
So you'll notice that Eterpay did block that kind of axe kick. And both players were blocking for a moment there. Eterpay with a very late 2A perk. Now, it's likely that Eterpay was kind of, knowing the kind of player that Knight is, Eterpay was worried that he was going to go into a spell. I mean, it could have been the orb.
Yeah, definitely.
With the orb, it would have been good if he used it as an airtight option, but he probably was expecting that third card in Knight's hand, the armor card, or maybe the reversal at the very back to come along. So he just hesitated on that 2A, which I think wouldn't have punished outright, but would have given him some better initiative in that scenario.
Yeah, I agree. He was definitely waiting for the follow-up spell card, and Knight's definitely known for it as well.
Yeah,
I think that's shades of knowing his opponent there. I think against any other opponent, he might sort of go for the escape there. Are there sort of select options to sort of catch the possibility that they might reversal after a slightly negative string and still be able to take the escape when presented to you in this situation?
It completely depends on how tight Knight was with the cancel, with that 4 cost at the very back of his hand. But considering it's at the very back of his hand, it's probably less likely to come than the 5 cost armor, which is third in his hand. So with the 5 cost armor, it's really slow in startup. So Eterpay could have gone with a light punish, like a close 5A, or I think even 2A into 2B high jump would have avoided it.
Right.
Yeah, so he didn't have to hesitate as much as he had to, I think, given the 5 cost palm.
Yeah, as relative to a different spell card. I guess the lesson is just watch what spell card it is and gauge the risk according.
The real scary one would have been the 3 cost uppercut.
Right, yeah, and I think we're going to see that later on, but more on that later. Okay. Alright, let's go. More neutral.
Nice straight hit. Oh, nice. Jason Sakuya.
Okay, slight weird interaction with the jump to A. You see that a lot with this character. Good confirm.
Okay. That was an interesting. Okay, let's look at that confirm there actually. And actually, like, can we go back to that exchange before? Yeah, okay. So you see Eterpay do a J2B, which is a good decision there. It kind of puts bullet cover down while also recoiling Sakuya back, making her a bit better equipped to deal with any kind of jumping from him. The interesting decision that Eterpay makes though is that once he lands on the ground, it looks like he goes for a 3A, I think.
Yeah, okay, so it was definitely a 2A that he went for, which seems to me that it looks like he was looking to low profile something, which is why I said that before when we were looking over the replays. I'm like, but you were like, no, that's not really a thing, is it?
I mean, it's really hard to do. And when Sakuya has 2B as an option, honestly, like, most of the time 2B is just the go-to low profile action. So,
okay.
Interesting decision by Eterpay. Maybe he's just not quite familiar with the use of 2A there. I mean, I feel like it might be possible, I just haven't gone for it before.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen it before, but I feel like it's in specific matchups like Iku, perhaps.
So 2B would have been the go-to there, I think. And even then, it was very late when he did it, so Knight was basically already on top of him. So I think the right action would have been just to kind of guard.
Okay.
Yeah, so Knight goes for a spell confirm. Probably would have been better to go for the... Okay, that was a bit of a weird interaction.
Yeah.
It is J5B charge Oki. Not quite sure what he's trying to catch there with that.
Sunshower though, how does this influence neutral? I think this is worth talking about, right? I mean,
Okay.
this is significantly influences the mind game of this match.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, Sakuya does have, like, if she can catch Meiling, maybe while she's grazing bullets, Sakuya does have her 3A, which is pretty scary during Sunshower. It kind of gives her a real high-low mix-up, when the opponent would normally be expecting a low only there, so it kind of has that surprise element. But on the other hand, Meiling is the kind of queen of high-lows when you compare it to Sakuya, I think.
Yeah,
because she has the rapid 2As and I guess, yeah, just a vast array of low options mixed in.
Yeah,
with some
up
highs.
back at all costs against this character for sure. To stay in the air, get your bullets out, and I think we'll see that. All right.
So lots of retreating and border escaping at the
Yeah,
moment.
no way. He doesn't want to be on the ground.
Yeah.
So yeah, take aware of what the weather is. I'm sure these guys noticed it right away. Nice air unblockable.
Nice. Okay, good
Oh,
combo.
misses the Oki a bit.
Misses
Oh,
the meaty, okay.
that's okay. It's just a slight misjudgment there.
But the
but,
bad thing is now Eterpay is on
yeah.
the receiving end of pressure.
Yeah, look, in Sunshower as well. I think maybe a better option was to take to the air just in case, but I don't know. He thought he had the Oki set up, and
Yeah, it's...
he has to work his way.
I guess he was influenced by the Sunshower. He wanted to go for that surprise double high hit from 3A. But yeah, it's you need some good reactions to be able to catch Meiling's tech roll, so...
Alright, well, let's see how he deals with it though, because I think what we're about to see is some textbook defense right
Yeah,
here.
we're gonna see
Alright,
some
check this out. Boom.
Blocks that,
Correct
right?
blocks. Nice. Oh, get straight out of there.
Oh, wow, okay. So, surprising use of forward border escape in corner. Actually helped him there. It threw Knight off. Knight seemed to react to the border escape after 5D and went into a high jump to chase after what he anticipated would be a 2 or 1 border escape. But Eterpay, cleverly using 4B there, managed to stay grounded and kind of recover just quick enough to kind of get out of there and...
Yeah, just enough to make some space happen. Got the confusion in the matchup happening.
Just to get a chicken block and escape, and Sunshower's over, so he's in a much better spot than he was.
I think that's the importance of varying your options, right? Even if your option isn't quite the best one.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
Not exactly an optimal pressure move.
Yeah, but it worked, right? I mean, this
Yeah.
is like, I think this is one of Knight's biggest strengths, right? Like, he's willing to try to beat the option you expect the most with just the most outrageous
Through
out of the blue.
off there.
Yeah, and of course, I think if you slow it down, you see his inputs. I think he let go of block for just a split second.
and he just got caught during that, so there's the 5C. Relance, 2As. Something to note though, Knight's
Whoa.
inputs could use a bit of cleaning. I like to say that a lot. Oh, there it is. Yeah, just that one moment of 6 got him hit, unfortunately.
I hate to see it happen, but yeah, again,
it is
no autopiloting, no autopiloting in this game. It pays wonders to just be able to make things up on the fly based on what you think will throw off your opponent.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to improvise. I think it works so much in Knights.
Yeah, it's exciting to see these kind of interesting plays working. it's pretty refreshing. Yeah. Oh, great cross up from Knight.
Yeah. Sunshine again. Nice bomb.
Oh, actually, there's something important that I need to go, which might help Knight. If you could rerun it to about 330.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in that kind of air scramble. So if you could play that in slow motion. Okay, so we get a J5B. Yeah, okay. So something that Knight does quite often in this set is he anticipates that the air melee he throws is going to get blocked, and he goes into J5B, which is a good bullet to reset Meiling air pressure off, with an air dash into like J5A. Unfortunately, it has a very low kind of, I guess, juggle. You can see the juggle bar there actually, so it's very low. So it doesn't allow him to combo off that air dash which actually here would have finished Eterpay off. So it's something that he can do. So this is advice directly from Knight and any Meilings, is that if you're ready for it, you can react to the melee hitting after you press the J5B and go into J5C, and this will combo off the 5B and allow you to go into like a 4-4 J8A to go into, you know, a more standard combo for Meiling. So yeah, it's something to consider for Knight. Be a bit more ready to react to that, how that melee connects, and be ready to go into that J5C. It's fine to autopilot the 5B. It's impossible to react at that speed on block or hit, but that 5B will act as a buffer to let you see what you need to do next, either air dash in on block or 5C on hit. So yeah, that's something to consider for Meiling, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on. Oh, and unfortunate sun shower. Eterpay should have actually taken the knockdown. Some weather awareness going on. Great teleport for Eterpay. Really nice scramble is working out in his favor there.
Do you think there are any of these situations where before Eterpay lost here, where he could have activated any of his spell cards? He had 2 cost, he had cost. Do you think he could have done something just to reverse the momentum quickly in his favor, especially during Sun Shower?
It's true. So other than avoiding Sun Shower outright with the knockdown, considering he was on like 1 hit would kill him HP on Sun Shower, as a Sakuya, you want to look at the kind of cards in your hands that give you neutral advantage, even if it's not there.
Yeah, for instance.
Anything. That would be Private Square, which he had on his hand on the 4th slot, or Imaginary Vertical Time, which is on the 2nd slot. Both of those would have kind of forced Knight to back off. Private Square in particular, if he does find room to use it, I think it's like close to 30 frames, a bit less maybe. So it's not free to throw out like IVT is, but if he does manage to get it out, it probably would have been, he would have been able to get a knockdown, since Knight would be forced to go into the air. So
right.
Yeah, it's you want to, if you've got your back against the wall, you want to just no holding back. Use all the resources you have just to cling onto the match. Because even if you run out of your hands there, if you're still in the match, you'll always have a chance to get back in. So yeah, that's something for you to pay to think about, and just a more general card theory for anyone, I think. Don't if you're gonna, 2 situations. If you've got them on low HP and you're gonna finish out the game, not the rounds, the game, or if you're about to lose the game. Those are the 2 situations where I would not hold back on card use. Just pour everything and just get that last hit, or just stay in the game. It's really important, I think, a way to look at it.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult in tournament use where you don't want to waste it, just in case you get hit out of it. Oh, it feels bad, right? But I think the more you get used to situations, stress situations where you need to do anything to survive, the more you'll realize what the time to use it, and when you have space to use it, and when you don't. So just something to think about. Let's see how Eterpay, let's see how Knight adapts from there.
Mm-hmm. So we've got game 2 going on, 1-0 tonight. Okay, nice knockdown. Okay, that's a classic kind of reads the 5C and goes for a 60 punish. I guess Knight was it's a bit of a mix-up there for Sakuya as well. But yeah, it's good that Knight's 60 in there, I guess. Okay, that hold on, can we go back to that Oki?
Yeah, sure.
The stomp, okay. So, oh, okay, I think we just...
So what do you think? Like, what are the benefits of doing something like this, right? There's got to be intent, right?
So we can see Knight did the B version, 2-2-B, okay. So the interesting thing about the B version of the stomp is that, as far as I'm aware, it's minus even on wrong block, even with the charge one. So, I mean, Knight maybe got it mixed up with the C version, which is plus on wrong block. But even then, it's a very strange decision to use a skill, which is usually at the end of your pressure, right at the start of Oki. Especially with the distance it creates. Even if it was the C version, I feel like Eterpay would be able to get out. This could be playing to Knight's strategy of just doing really strange things to throw Eterpay off. But I feel like this is a bit too ambitious. Just throwing out that kind of Oki chance. On Heavy Fog 2, you don't want to let your opponent get away just because they might be able to get that comeback going. You can see Eterpay is slightly losing here. So yeah, it's a bit of an unfortunate decision by Knight there, but we'll see how he brings it back from there.
Nice, covering the option.
Nice cross up. Okay, 6B, interesting option.
Yeah, what do you think of the options there?
Okay, so 6B has, I think, worse advantage of high jumping than 5B, for example. So I personally would have gone for 5B there. But another option Knight had is that he could have gone into like maybe 6C Raw would have been a better idea there. I mean, he did have the spirit to like even do 6B, 6C. I feel like that's airtight sometimes. I feel like 6B high jump isn't really the best option you have there. 5B would be more suited to that follow-up, so a bit more awareness of what each bullet does for Meiling's pressure from Knight.
Okay.
Okay, air tech port. Interesting Oki. It worked out there.
The dash out, the little dash outs, right?
Yeah, so Eterpay seems to like going forwards after the 2B. Something I'm noticing. Okay, Eterpay's doing a lot of chicken blocking in neutral actually. That's an interesting strategy. I feel like he could afford to be a bit more aggressive with like dashes and high jumps. But maybe, I mean, it seems like he's more of a cautious player of neutral, so although it is giving up advantages he may or may not be able to get, it is kind of weakening whatever pressure would follow up generally, so...
Well, on paper, playing like that generally favors Sakuya, just because of the amount of reward she gets on a knockdown. But
actually, yeah, speaking of his defensive options, if you could rewind back to 455, I feel like there's something quite nice you can see there. Oh, sorry, it's just... Yeah, okay. So, we're seeing, I guess, the general strategy with border escape catching moves, and also Eterpay's good decision making. So Eterpay is probably adapted to Knight following up 2B with 5C, which is why he did a forward B in response to the 2B, which would put him right in Knight's face and probably allow him to get out. Now Knight followed up with 6C into 214. Unfortunately, going into a skill after a second bullet, so if you're when you try to catch a B with a move, you want to cancel the move you expect a B on into the catch. So Knight here was put in one move between, so Eterpay could block that 214 in time. So yeah, it's an interesting kind of thought process from both players. Eterpay kind of won out there with his 6B, which was I believe based on what he saw previously in that situation. So Knight might want to kind of realize that Eterpay is acting on the 2B rather than whatever follows for his decision making. And also Eterpay should have gone for a knockdown combo here instead with a B loop. He likes this combo a lot. Unfortunately, it doesn't lead to a knockdown though, but yeah, it's damage. Damage is damage, and he's out of the pressure zone.
I think it's pretty good. The read on defense was pretty strong.
Yeah.
I think it will force Meiling to keep it a bit more tight. We'll see what.
Okay. So Knight's got that wave. Throws down neutral. Okay. Summon scramble. Ooh, Eterpay. Oh, okay. That's something quite important for Meiling players, I think. Yeah. Especially if they're running that 2-2 wave. So, that 2-2 wave that he uses here, one of the great strengths of it is that it's airtight off like any of the heavy bullets like 6C or 5C. So, while doing a nice single spirit orb damage in one hit. So you'll notice here Eterpay ends up on a 1.5 orbs, or rather I guess the decision making for this should start at the 2.5 orbs. So Knight will notice Eterpay's on low orbs, 2.5 orbs, Then he goes for a high-low with a 6A, 3A. So he should anticipate that that's going to put Eterpay on 1.5 wall to the rung block. And now he could actually go for an airtight string, which would lead to a crush if he did 6A, 2-2 instead. So yeah, that would really kind of threaten Eterpay into not hesitating with border escape. Unfortunately, just the 2-2 alone isn't enough to crush there. So yeah, a bit more awareness. Yeah, although it does do damage.
Check out this combo though. I think here Knight attempted to finish the round with his favorite move, the 6-2-3B, the uppercut punch. He loves that move.
He really does.
Okay, so obviously a much easier, almost undroppable combo was available there. Yes. Knight knows this, we all know this. But I think this kind of play is just Knight's thing, right? And I mean, obviously, once he starts playing against stronger players, I think he'll sort of cut it out. But I think in this kind of matchup where the players are even on paper, I think it really helps Knight's mentality to really finish a round in his favor. Boom, I win. Yeah, next round, let's do it. All right. It energizes him, right? I don't underestimate the power of that kind of thing.
Psychology plays a huge part in kind of any competition, I think. But yeah, especially here, if Knight had landed that, he probably would have... Oh, he wins anyway.
yeah, sure. I mean, but you know, the point.
Yeah, the point stand. Okay. So, oh, great count. Oh, could have gone for the better 6-2-3 enter, but that's okay. Nice pressure.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Knight attempted a raw 5+ there. That's probably playing to his kind of... he likes kind of doing that showy kind of moves. But with that 5 because its startup is the same, I believe, as her 4A, if you're in range to 4A, it's just much smarter to 4A into it, just so you can confirm.
Do you think Eterpay should have activated spell cards on any number of these knockdowns? Now, I know he's 60% ahead right now because of his decisions, but boy, did he have some big chances to just nail Knight with some unescapable stuff. So, would you have gone for it?
Yeah, I would have definitely used the Killing Doll on some of those knockdowns. So his knockdowns weren't optimal, but he did get a limit of that, I think it was 2A hit, a J2A hit.
Combos have been clean.
Really good place to go into Killing Doll. He's got highlighted a very strange card there, but yeah, maybe he wants to go for that big damage confirm into it. I'm not sure what he's got up his sleeve, but since he is playing Sakuya, ooh, that hurts to see. Oh, and that hurts to see too.
No, he could have grazed that, right, for sure.
He could have. He definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just be aware. Any reason why you think he might not have?
Just maybe the kind of startled by Diamond Dust. That's all that comes to.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, but that's a good attempt at catching there by Knight. Notice he did input 660. I always recommend 6DC just for quick green. Anyway, okay. So, continuing on.
Eterpay trying to escape.
Yeah, I think I saw Eterpay do a uncovered 3A. Oh, really good kind of all-in. Eterpay saw the bullets bouncing back and obviously deemed that Knight had to do something there, so he opted for a dash B, which
I mean, perhaps a bit over-aggressive from Knight, but you know, I mean, I think if he had that worked, that could have been the game-deciding moment, right?
True.
I mean, Knight thrives off of those moments. I mean, I think it would have boosted his confidence. So I think it was kind of worth going for at that much of a life deficit. I'm not sure, but nice awareness from Eterpay.
And also a comment on Eterpay's earlier 3As. He's done a few now. He tends to do 3As like a real anti-air, like in I think more normal games. Anti-airs kind of lower your hurt box, and they're designed to like outright beat air moves done against grounded targets. Sakuya's 3A unfortunately isn't very good at that. The hitbox is surprisingly smaller than most air to ground moves, and so it's something you need to use when the opponent's grazing or stuck in graze, like there's bullets on top of them, or they just recently started the graze so they can't attack out of it, or you're reading them to block something, for example a re-jump. Unfortunately, Eterpay
Right.
is using them in defensive situations as like a true anti-air. It's just not gonna get the job done most of the time. Like I said before, 2B is a lot more suited to those situations.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of awareness of what your moves do, I guess. Oh, okay. Interesting 60 meters. Okay.
Aurora, what is it?
Hard to tell.
Low to the ground jump 6A.
Yeah, that was an interesting decision by Eterpay. Oh, good knockdown. Oh, okay. That wasn't a good stick layer. He didn't quite at the time.
Yeah. Is there any chance you would have gotten hit by that trap Knight just attempted
Yes.
just then? I mean, is that, yeah, you would have?
I mean, I'm more of a cautious player, but I mean,
Are there cover rule options where you can just hesitate for a split second longer and then hit a button and you're still at just enough frame advantage to see this kind?
No, in that situation, Knight did time it pretty well. We outlined, like, before last time Knight did the similar thing, we were like, if only it was the 3-cost punch. That's the strength of the 3-cost punch. Even though it's only upper body invincibility, which you can get around by doing 2A as Sakuya, you can kind of time it as a perfect frame trap so that none of Sakuya's moves are gonna be able to hit you out of it. So it's just a complete mix-up there, and Eterpay took the
Nice
cautious
punish,
move
yeah,
and it paid off.
capitalizes.
Great knockdown. Oh, he uses King Tail, that's great.
Good
Oh,
blocks.
really good. Not optimal, but he got him to guard it, which is really good, and he forced that B. Oh, Knight got a bit ambitious there. All good.
Still representing the tight block strings. River missed again.
They're both on low HP, so... Oh, okay.
Yeah, careful with Hungeking the jump in, so okay.
Yeah, but it's River Mist. Punishes tend to be a bit more lenient.
Right.
So you can take a bit more riskier options in that. Oh, okay, that hurts. J8A whiff from Knight. It's a bit of a dangerous move to go for in River Mist, I think. Because you just...
Yeah.
The spacing isn't really in your control as much as you want it to be. I mean, you can study it and like keep it in the back of your mind, but you need to be really experienced to be able to use it super effectively. And when you have a move that like gets you killed for missing like J8A on such low HP, you just want to not really go for those, I think. So,
Okay.
Yeah, that's 1-1
right now.
Eterpay managed to take the second round. Second
Yeah,
game.
solidifying a little
Yeah.
bit, maybe weathering the storm. We'll see how Knight
It
sort
is a
of
best of
adapt.
5. Yeah. So Knight will need to adapt after that set. Yeah, we'll see how they go from there.
Oh.
Ooh, okay. Something interesting with Eterpay's round start movement there.
Yeah, look, I think the fairly passive sort of grounded approach into the 5A, I think.
Yeah.
Slow motion. I mean, I think instead of using fast, tricky movement, like he sort of opts to sort of go straight in, try to get the 5A on the round start. I feel like Meiling is better at that than Sakuya.
She's a bit speedier and more kind of. I'm not sure what the numbers are, but I feel like she's more designed for those quick, sharp movements. Not that Sakuya shouldn't go for those. I personally feel like it's a requirement just to throw off characters who want to close in. Kind of movement feints are really important. But I think as Sakuya, you want to leverage your kind of bullet cover advantage, which comes from J5C at high altitudes. So at round start, I think it's a great idea just to fly all the way up into a J5C.
Yeah, create some space and then try to lay out the pace from the get-go with your bullet cover.
Yeah, but don't take that as gospel. There is a strong Sakuya in Japan who I'm quite good friends with. He's actually more of a school of thought of being quite grounded. So different approaches, but since I can only say from my perspective, I would have definitely made some more distance and put out a J5C. So yeah, let's see what happens from here. Okay, really interesting J6A from Eterpay there. It worked out. A bit risky though, because it's only got I think 2 frames of active, so he kind of relied on Knight jumping into it there. Interesting.
Nice block strings.
Oh, it doesn't quite limit, but good. Oh, okay, unfortunate. Okay, even more unfortunate.
I guess Slightly wrong spacing for that kind of
Well, actually, to be honest, he should have gone for the C version regardless.
Right.
That was the B version, which doesn't step forward, so a bit of a error from that there. But we'll see.
Just to back off. Really chasing the air techs right now.
Eterpay just air teching a lot and getting hurt for it too. Interesting 6C.
Yeah, look at this little approach from Knight. So he's doing 6C, 6C, fly up, fly down, 6C, jump 6C. He's trying to sort of edge his way in, and then
really interesting to see
when he finds his way in,
I'd expect a more high jump off each one.
Hang on, it's not quite good for him, so he backs off and then he throws more 6E. Yeah, time to start again, right? I mean, this is pretty good plan. Pretty good plan, right? I mean, adapt to what your opponent, adapt to what you're seeing on screen. If it's not quite right for you, you're the best judge of what's happening in the moment.
I think,
back up,
for characters
reset.
who don't have massive hitboxes, for example, like these two characters, though Sakuya's J6A is pretty big. You don't want to force your approach. Like, if it looks dangerous, it's always a good option to back off. That's something I can say, especially to newer and more intermediate players. Don't be scared to back off like Knight is. It's really good what he's doing here. Forcing your way in tends to just get you hit. Okay, Aurora, think fast, 49, it's either Tempest or Spring Haze, and now I've locked it to Spring Haze based on the Graze kind of...
Yeah, that was definitely a Graze.
Okay, so looks like they might have missed that, but that's fine. Oh, really good forward beat. Oh, okay. Probably not necessary, but he takes the game regardless. It's a good one.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Eterpay makes distance. Okay, that's better. Interesting, he doesn't go for a J5C, but that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so do you want to talk about that, right? So I think Knight saw his opponent's coin card, right? And I think knowing his opponent was going to block and then use it, I think he decided to do what you just win.
Something more suited to mid-screen where you push them towards corner with your body. But interesting to see him use it in corner. I guess he just didn't want to give Eterpay any block stun to work with.
Yeah, and you know, it almost worked. If you look... Hang on, I'll do it a little bit faster. So if you look at Eterpay's inputs, he hits an A here. Whoa, that was very close.
Yeah, very close.
But nice try. But that is the type of thing you want to see.
And a good airtight string from Knight there, the 2B5C. Last time he delayed a bit, so it wasn't airtight. But this time it was probably... Okay. Ooh, scary counter hit.
Hard knockdown. Sets up the spell
great.
card. Oh, what do you all talk about that decision? I think that was very worth it for Knight. Clear message to Eterpay that, you know, I'll take whatever you're willing to give me, and I don't believe in your media. Bit of mental damage there, a bit of confidence boost, ego boost. I think that'll help him in the long run, even if he suffers damage-wise in the trade. What do you think?
Definitely, Eterpay, I mean, basically that killing door was like, it did give him some damage, but it was like roughly... Oh, there's 700 difference in damage, I guess, which is something. But yeah, it's message sent is the big part. Eterpay is probably going to be a bit more cautious. I personally would start using private square as a default now at this point, if I wasn't confident with my killing door. But yeah, we'll see how Eterpay goes from here. Oh, okay, could have gone for J5B to get down, but that's okay. Oh, really tricky J&A there.
Oh, and just like that, look at this life lead, all of it gone to the heavy fog.
Did have an opportunity to use private square earlier after the down, but it's okay, he's still got the big lead.
I don't think Knight's the type of person who'll slow down due to heavy fog, even if he's got the life lead.
That's true. Oh, okay, interesting.
Okay, yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Common mistake, I think. Is that spell card vulnerable at all? Has it got any vulnerability?
You have to hit her before the spell flash. It's pretty fast, like considering the effect of it. I think it's like 20 something frames, maybe 30 frames. But as soon as the spell flash happens, she's invincible, and that invincibility lasts until she can block. There's actually something I'd like to go into there with Eterpay's decision making too, not just knights. So he used dash B into it to force an advantage, which isn't a bad idea, but unfortunately, okay, he probably was looking at Knight Spirit, so that was really good of him, but he did call Riverlist on himself, which would have made it a bit harder to push the advantage that card would have normally given him. But regardless, I think Knight was on low enough spirit for it to be the right decision anyway.
Works out.
Okay, so it's... Oh, interesting, uncancel J5Cs. I don't usually do that, but it seems to be working for you today. Very heavy use of E-bullets. I feel like he's going for a more nimble Sakuya approach by doing those Bs, but you won't be able to raise Meiling's bullet cover without C-bullets, so you want to mix some more of those in, I think. He had a good 2B attempt there, but it was a bit too late. I want to go for those, like I mentioned earlier, instead of 3A. That was a good 3A actually, I traded though.
Oh, okay. So, do you think that was just too late, or was that just a bad follow-up option? What could have Eterpay have done after that forward border escape there to avoid that hit confirm from Meiling?
Hold on, I think my video was a bit behind. Could you rewind a moment and play that?
Yeah, let's
okay,
go.
So, oh, missed that. Got that. Okay.
Here we go. Oh, we just missed the 623.
Okay. I mean, his decision to 623 there wasn't a bad one. I feel like frame-wise it probably would have run out if he did it earlier, if he was more ready for it. But I think, especially considering his HP and it was Drizzle. Okay, his HP was still fine then, but it was Drizzle, so he really wanted to probably take a safer option. I would have probably not gone into 5C at all there, just out of concern of what could happen if Knight grazed it. But another thing he could have done is buffered the 2-2B forward teleport, just, you know, warped out of there to avoid that big punish from Knight. And another charge 5B Orky from Knight, I'm not a big fan of those, but it seems to not be putting him in too bad of a situation. Okay, some neutral. Some good Scorching Sun. Eterpay has nothing to lose though, no big deal. Oh, it pulls out the 4 costs, goes for a comeback. Okay. Something I'd like to comment on is Eterpay's eagerness to chicken block in neutral.
Right, yeah, I think Knight is getting away with a lot of forward dashes where he wouldn't, and a lot of air resets where he didn't. Do you think it should just be like a more aggressive use of water escape, or is it more about just getting out of there when you see the...
I think, I guess Eterpay is just kind of, maybe it's because he's at low HP and he's scared, but by chicken jumping there, when there was quite a bit of distance between the two too, like, there was some time before Knight reached him. He could have dashed under Knight, he could have backwards high jumped, so that might have been a bit risky. At that HP, you just don't want to forfeit your advantage completely like Eterpay did with the chicken block. Even just putting a bullet out would have helped. Just feel like he's not going for the taking initiative when he needs to at that HP, I think. But
yeah, okay. Knight capitalizes 2-1.
Knight does take the game 2-1, and this is match point for Knight.
So hang on, so it's I guess it's looking bad for Eterpay here though, right? Yeah. It's not just that they're losing, but I think it's Knight is sort of showing a certain level of fearlessness and dominance in the way he's playing, and I don't think anybody would at a 2-1 deficit. I think Eterpay might be feeling pretty bad right now. What do you think's the best way to approach this in this situation?
Okay, so I personally would have I don't know, we don't have live footage of the actual match, so I can't tell, but if I was Eterpay, I would have like taken a long time character select just to reflect on what decisions have been kind of getting him hit. Of course, like we said, less chicken blocking, that has kind of forfeited neutral a lot for him, more big sweeping moves towards the top of the screen. to get stronger bullet cover outs would be really good.
Okay.
Make sure to only 3A when you have kind of cover out. A lot of his 3As have failed and gone unhit. And definitely more spell card usage, especially prioritizing Private Square over Killing Door, since I suspect Eterpay is not the most confident with Killing
And
Door.
how do you recognize these kinds of things in the moment? I mean, I guess the power of backseat gaming, right?
We should pause for a moment, hold on, while we talk about this.
Oh, we have, right?
Oh, it's still playing for me. Maybe, hold on, let me press the sync button. Oh, could you press pause again, maybe?
Yep.
Okay, this isn't good. Maybe rewind?
Yeah, I'm fiddling with it.
Okay, could you transfer host to me? We might have to just try to re-sort this out. It looks like we're desynced maybe. But yeah, while we try to fix this, I can just say it's a really important skill to be able to adapt on the fly. I mean, it is pretty hard to do it mid-match. Oh, I'm seeing your movements now. Okay, but yeah, even if it's not something you do like immediately in the match, you do get some time to think between rounds. It's really good to think what I got hit by a lot, what kind of pressure they often used. Did I kind of miss any opportunities? Those are the 3 big things you can think about between rounds. It shouldn't take too long since there's just 3 dot points. But even if you can do that between matches on character select, it's just gonna take you far, I think. Just any kind of adapting, especially when you're on the kind of cornered like Eterpay is here, it's really important just to bring that match in your favor, because what you're doing now isn't working if you're losing, essentially. So you don't want to just kind of keep banging your head against it. You want to really think and get kind of something needs to change. So you want to try to identify what.
Alright.
So
Are you synced up?
Yeah, I'm on a 54 now, which is good.
Alright. Alright, so yeah, 4th game. Potentially final game for Eterpay.
Yep.
Got to make something happen. Or not quite an optimal punish, but yeah.
Not the best unfortunate drop, but okay. And those 623s haven't been working for Knight actually. He's missed a lot of them, so that's something to consider. Use the C version maybe to get that extra forward momentum. Okay, so back to there.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, ambitious J6A, air take bait, but not too there. Great knockdown from Knight. Ooh, okay. That 6B was a bit strange, but yeah, Eterpay got a poke there and followed through, which is really good. Okay, Eterpay with very loose pressure there. Maybe he was scared of Knight jumping into him.
Oh, Knight on the other. Look at that pressure up down from Knight. I think that's pretty advanced stuff, right? I mean, this is the kind of thing that beats chicken blocking, I think,
Yeah,
when he expects his opponent to just sit there and block, up, down, flight, reset the spacing, threaten the air unblockable.
That's right. As Meiling in particular already has really strong air pressure, so if she can get a land, like she can land while you're still in the air and re-jump, you're gonna really feel the pain from Meiling's air pressure there. Okay, yeah, there it is, just locked into good air pressure. The fly down, yeah, that's really good air pressure.
That's the good stuff.
He just caught Eterpay as he thought Knight was gonna kind of give up pressure. He just pressed the button and caught him, which is really good. Okay, so moving on. Okay, Knight could have finished that with the 5 costs, or yeah, actually 5 costs would be the only option considering his spirit. So a bit more hand awareness, I think, would be good. But regardless, he took the game.
But again, chicken blocking on Eterpay's part.
Yeah, that's
kind of results in the reset of pressure for Knight. The bit of a flinch at the end.
Yeah, Knight's really taking advantage of this non-B escapes Eterpay's doing. Okay, so oh, actually, there's something important to talk about at 12:54. This is kind of really important when you're facing Sakuya. A lot of players see her 2B and kind of just get shut off by it completely. It's a really good anti-air. So you can see Eterpay using it here. There's two reasons why it didn't work for Eterpay here. Sakuya gets slapped on the back of the head. So Knight
Yeah.
did a great approach of kind of going around the 2B and hitting from behind, where it doesn't cover it at all. If you can get in that position, you've basically beaten it. It's like you've got in its blind spot. You're free to hit Sakuya. I mean, she could go into 6-2-3, but if you time it right, there's not much she can do. And the second thing that happened here is Eterpay's 2B was just a bit too late. It is able to avoid some grounded moves by low profiling, but its main strength is just to avoid air to ground melees and snare them in that knife wave. So you want to use it early when they're just about to commit into that air melee or using kind of active frames to fall on you. So yeah, it's good to see Eterpay trying to go for those 2Bs in light of all the 3As that we saw earlier. Just need to work on the kind of, awareness of when to use it and how to use it. Okay. So we've got a River Mist coming up, there it is.
The neutral 6-2-3s. I guess it's kind of safe in this weather.
Yeah, I feel like Knight's not too good at dealing with River Mist right now. He's missing a lot of things, and I mean, they're not going punished, probably because it's River Mist, but...
Yeah, I feel like River Mist is like the perfect weather for Eterpay right now. I think it really messes with Knight's flow. Knight is the kind of player who really likes to strangle his opponent, not give them enough space to really do much. I think River Mist really messes with his rhythm. And if I were Eterpay right now, I'd be really...
Yeah, it's that additional breathing room, it kind of unsticks Meiling from you. She's very sticky usually, so that's very helpful. Oh, great follow-throughs on those perks by Eterpay. Would have gone for Private Square personally, knowing that in Eterpay's shoes, I'm not too confident with the Killing Doll. He hasn't.
Yeah, I guess.
So,
at
Private
this point,
Square
right?
gets around that kind of reaction gate / execution gate. But, yeah. Oh, unfortunately.
Oh, again, no.
Oh,
I mean,
Okay, so let's see what happened there. Eterpay landed a great, was it 3A, I think? Some kind of starter into J6A into J6C. Now this is a very common scenario for Sakuya, where the J6C won't limit fully. So, oh yeah, okay. That was a really good air unblocker, by the way. Good job, Eterpay. So in this situation, you need to be able to judge that it's not gonna limit and do a 6-6 J8A. You kind of get a feel for it with time, based on your relative height. Looks like Eterpay did expect it to limit though, and unfortunately Knight could air tech into a punish. So yeah,
I think I think it was he was at such a low height to the ground where it's just natural muscle memories to fly down to the ground and activate.
That's true.
But yeah, definitely should have realized that the air tech was available. But yeah, Knight on the other hand, watch.
He does go for a big punch.
Oh, what do you think of this decision? So he loses out on damage mathematically, but I still think that's like hell yeah, Knight.
He styled on Eterpay. But it did hurt him a lot more than it would have because of the drizzle.
Well, he's got actually a pretty dangerous life deficit now.
Oh, and actually,
but he's not
interesting Meiling tech if you can pause there a bit. You see Knight's quite keen to go straight into 2-2, the wave, after his heavy mealings. I used to think this wasn't a great idea because I used to believe in the 6C more, but apparently your frame advantage of high jump is actually higher off that than 6C. So if you're outside of crush range, it might be better just to go straight into that. More research might be required for So yeah, I think we see it here. Yeah. Interesting follow-up too with the J6C. Maintain pressure. It's good to see Knight experimenting with things like that.
It's good air control here from
really
Knight.
good air control. Oh, really good combo pick up to rejump. Will he get the knockdown? He does! Really good job.
Not quite a meaty, but still.
Oh, Eterpay.
Yeah, just the hesitance. Alright.
Yeah, okay. Oh, combo drop, but that's okay. Eterpay's on his really last legs now though. Okay, he cannot afford to make a mistake anymore. Make that space. Go for the heavy fog Eterpay. Or spring haze even, anything to... Okay, heavy fog, really good. Okay, so he's looking at his hand. If I was in his place, I would... Oh no!
Yeah, well played. I think a nice ending there.
Very,
blocks the Yoki,
yeah.
sees the gap,
Clean punish.
kills the Sakuya.
There. What Eterpay could have done there is, looking at his hand, he did have Luminous Ricochet, which is normally used in pressure and combos, but it does provide some pretty quick kind of bullet cover just to drive the opponent away, create space. So that would have been one option he could have thrown out. The other would have been that card that just appeared in his hand now, Imaginary Vertical Time. It basically forces a neutral advantage, and it's quite a quick startup, so that was another option available to him. Either would have been okay. This goes back to a point I mentioned earlier where you just want to pour in all your resources to stay in the game, especially if it's a kind of ladder point like that was. So yeah, a bit of a need more hand awareness and kind of awareness of what your cards can do in their non-optimal scenarios. Yeah, desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess.
Yeah, I guess use it or lose it. I mean, I think that's not the first game where he died with multiple.
That's true.
Cards
there was an earlier game where I was like, just use Private Square, would have won.
Yeah,
really strong showing from both the players. So that was
3-1.
Yeah,
3-1 tonight. Both players put in a lot of effort. Yeah, and yeah, well played by Knight. What do you think was Knight's winning point? Like, if you could name one thing that really was the reason he could win over his opponent right now.
I think it's putting the onus on Eterpay a bit, but Eterpay's just ability to grab damage where he needed to punish Knight for his kind of showy, flashy playstyle just wasn't quite there, so Knight was able to kind of, I guess, not just to build an HP advantage from doing risky moves, but also build a kind of psychological advantage over Eterpay as Nerk was going into it.
Yeah, look, I think Knight just adapted quite faster than Eterpay did.
That's true. Yeah.
I think that Eterpay's strengths as a player, I think they play unfortunately well into the type of playstyle that Knight feeds on. You know, the calm, calculating, patient type. I think Knight really goes. Yeah, I think Knight really seizes what, you know. Give him an inch, he'll take a mile. He's the kind of guy who'll do that. Eterpay has good knowledge of his character's bullets. He knows the system mechanics well, obviously. Grey border escapes throughout the entire set, consistent with that. Really impressive, and good situational awareness. And I think he obviously plays fairly calm and composed. You can tell.
He does.
But I think Knight preys on logic, right? I think he'll always attack the most logical answer to any situation. Like, for example, a string that's slightly minus on block into a reversal.
Yeah, that's true.
the most obvious example of the type of player Knight is. You can kind of see that kind of thing when you go into a match. You can kind of, that's what feeling out an opponent is, right? You kind of get a gauge of the type of player they are. Knight's the type of player who will attempt to bully you into not trusting your own answers anymore by doing, you know, the riskiest, craziest plays just to beat what he thinks he's got a hunch you're going to do. But you definitely gotta just really be aware of what you're up against, I guess.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can really snowball in Knight's favor as he dictates the mind game, the pace, and I guess just the general emotions of the match, right?
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of I think mentality going on in this set, especially when you play Knight. He's good at attacking you mentally like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not intended to be malicious, obviously, I understand it fully. It's definitely a boost in the confidence when you land the best feeling moves.
So I like to kind of summarize at the end of these sets. I guess what did let's start with Eterpay. What did Eterpay do well? Like we said, he kind of threw out bullets quite well. He was. Defense was pretty good, especially when he incorporated border escapes. He did land some good killing doors, although he could have got those a bit more down pat. But he did manage to get some leverage off the earlier ones.
When Eterpay had the space, I think he really commanded the flow a lot. I think when Knight got it back though, that's
Yeah,
when it spiraled out of
that's true.
control far quicker than it did when Eterpay wrestled the momentum back from Knight. I think that
Yeah,
was the key difference there. When Knight gets a knockdown, the momentum swing was immense this game. A couple of lost opportunities from Eterpay,
yeah,
as
that's
you mentioned, the knockdowns, no spell cards. Um, but yeah, I think that was one of the key differences.
and another thing Eterpay did well is actually his corner pressure. He had some really nice strings going on, so that was great to see. He probably could have incorporated some more J623 as like an easy border escape catch, but his basic pressure logic, like airtight strings, etc., was really solid. So that was great to see. And I guess he's surprisingly good in scramble situations too. Like I'm going back to that early J6A that he did, kind of reading that Knight would high jump into him.
Are you
Really.
sure it's not that 6A is surprisingly good in scramble situations?
Well, it's only like 2 frames active, I think, so it is quite hard to aim in scramble situations, especially if you're
Alright.
kind of anticipating them to move into you. But really good job for me to pay with that.
Yeah, some good general reactive play. Like
Yeah,
we
that's right.
mentioned, there was some misplacement of the 2B bullets,
Mhm.
general misjudgment of
Yeah,
situations
yeah,
there, but you could see a general reactive play. I
yeah.
think Knight, on the other hand, what do you think he did well? I think he really adapted quite
Yeah,
quickly
Knight's
to his.
adaptation was really good. Like according to Eterpay in warm-ups, Eterpay was doing really well, and then you can see in the first match Eterpay had a really strong start, and then the adaptation kicks in and Knight starts getting more and more of an advantage as the set goes on. Knight's obviously very experienced against Sakuya, and maybe he wasn't quite used to the playstyle change between me and Eterpay at first. But it's very good to see him be able to adapt like that to Eterpay's habits, his kind of cautiousness. He really took advantage of that.
Yeah, look at I think this is a great example of that, the adaptation.
Oh yeah, the interesting choice, but definitely kind of preying on Eterpay's respect there. That kind of play, yeah. Knight's been really good at adapting, which is probably the biggest thing that let him win. But other than that, I think I guess. Oh, actually, this is also ties into adaptation, but his willingness to do kind of risky plays that attack the
Yeah, like
opponent's
that.
psyche. Yeah, he kind of picked up that Eterpay's punish game isn't like fully there yet, and he's not getting that damage race going with his Oki cards as much as he could be. So
Yeah,
Knight
I think
kind of.
one of the important things to take away from this is like, don't do this all the time. You know, kids don't try this at home, kind of stuff. Like this is the kind of thing where you do once you have a read. I mean, Knight would not do this kind of stuff against any sort of character who has like an easy time punishing this from very long range, or any kind of player who just has their every single setup clean. Um, but yeah, I think I think it's a very good fighting game example in general of just how to sort of take advantage and adapt where you can, see where your opponent isn't punishing you, see where they are, and yeah.
Yeah, and other than that, Knight's pressure is of course on point. Air pressure, we had a really strong showing of that too from Knight, so that's really great to see. Yeah, just and his kind of, I guess, movement as Meiling, you can see in the set he was moving way more than Eterpay. He just had a more commanding neutral. I think just basically off his movement mainly, and his use of 6C, which we saw earlier in the set. So yeah, that kind of stuff really helped Knight in that set, I think. So now let's try to take a look at what could be improved from both
Yeah,
players.
I was about to say, what do you think Eterpay could take away from this? How does
Yeah.
he approach this match? What's the best thing?
So like I've been saying through the set, one important thing that I personally would recommend Eterpay to do, though as I mentioned, not all suckers may agree, is he should be kind of creating much more room for himself in neutral, relying less on those close range B bullets,
And
relying
how does
more
he
on
do
those.
that?
Okay, so Sakuya, you generally want to, I think, high jump into a kind of an upwards flight, any of the upwards directions, just to a long sweeping motion, just to create as much distance as you can, or like a reasonable amount of distance. And then throw down a J5C, and then kind of see how they move against that and follow the J5C. That's a very hard to contest maneuver in neutral. Obviously they can kind of, with a fast character like Meiling, she could kind of like follow you on that long.
Well, yeah, she could go straight up there. It's a long commitment from
But it is
Meiling,
definitely
right?
a long commitment.
And you can manipulate the movement in your favor to make, because it's naturally a more advantageous move for you to do, and it's naturally harder for Meiling. The onus is on Meiling to stop you from doing it.
right.
So feel free, right?
You want to kind of force Meiling to make a move on you rather than staying in a mid-range where you're kind of trying to get in from a close range, but I feel like she has a bit of an edge there.
Yeah, I think that's an important point as well, like forcing the Meiling to make a move on you rather than predicting the move that hasn't happened yet and then acting accordingly, right?
That's right. The more distance you have, I think, well, like within reason, you don't want to like fly up to the ceiling.
Yeah, true.
But I think especially with a lower damage character like Sakuya, and Eterpay, because he's not too confident in his ulti, he wants to kind of take the fights that he can win. Just be a bit more cautious with his approaches, make sure they're well covered. This is something that I notice with 3As a lot. He tends to take a bit of a riskier move like 3A when he doesn't have bullet cover out. You want to avoid that where you can. Just play it a bit more. Yeah, reinforces play more with solid bullet cover with J5C is the first thing, and to do that you need more space, so tying that back. A different point that Eterpay could work on is obviously his spell card strings, as you've been mentioning. Understandably, it's very hard to Oki Meiling just because of her wake up speed and quick etc. But luckily Sakuya has a card called Private Square that kind of says that doesn't matter.
Right.
He could have been a lot more reliant on that. Even if he can't get the setups right, just, getting some kind of advantage, them forcing a BE into a BE catch or putting them on low orbs, anything helps. That's a huge part of Sakuya's damage source. So that's something I'd like to see Eterpay pursue more aggressively in his future sets. And on the topic of spell cards too, like we mentioned, especially in situations where he's kind of on the back foot, he really shouldn't hesitate to use those cards that give him neutral advantage, like Private Square, Luminous, or IBT.
Right, yeah, I saw very little of that, right? Just raw activation. Now, which one of Sakuya's spell cards can you just activate raw in the neutral just to seize some advantage? Which one of them?
Okay.
Like, which ones?
So the big one is Private Square. You need a tiny bit of room to activate it, but once it's out, it's basically like 90% of the time they're gonna have to run or block. It's very big advantage. You won't necessarily get in because they can always escape high up in the screen, but it forces them to back off, which is really important sometimes. The card he's got highlighted now, Imaginary Vertical Time, that's also a good candidate. Much easier to get off than Private Square because of the faster startup.
But not quite as much, like, dictatorship of
That's
the
true.
neutral, right? Not as quiet.
It fills the screen with knives, which drains Spirit on Graze, so it is pretty
Well,
advantageous.
yeah, that's always a good thing for Sakuya. Yeah, a general goal.
Yeah, more knives the better. But yeah, it's not quite as extreme as Private Square. It's more useful like a reversal though because of its fast startup. So they're the two main ones, and Eterpay's running both, so it's definitely something he wants to consider. The final kind of more desperate one is Luminous Ricochet. That's the bouncing knife. I don't think we saw it from Eterpay this set, but normally used in pressure and combos.
Right.
If you
Yeah,
really need
guard
to,
crush string.
yeah, you can just throw it out, and the knife kind of bounces in a way that covers.
I have
Sakuya.
seen that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a.
Yeah, I think that's a big strength of Sakuya in general, just being able to say, no, my turn, if she's... I mean, obviously you need a little bit of space, but you find that often enough in this matchup. You'll get a stray hit or a trade, and then just you recover.
At the very least, it would have given him a lot of space to work with. This Knight would have had to run away against all of those.
Okay. And what do you think Knight could improve on?
Yeah, sure. So Knights, I mean, it's a bit hard to fold it because he didn't get punished too hard for it.
The risk taking,
Yeah,
right? I'm sure you'd like to see a few less risks from
there's
the
just
guy,
some,
but
some
yeah,
of the
um,
options didn't really
yeah.
add up to
Okay,
me.
so here's my question. When I said earlier, Knight would clean up and play less risky against a player who wouldn't let him get away with it so much, or against a character who would. Does he against you? Does he still play like this against you?
I've managed to actually iron it out mostly, which is nice to see. So
Yeah,
that does
you tamed it a
definitely
bit. Yeah.
there is merit to what you're saying with him cleaning up his act, I guess, kind of
Right.
against stronger players. It's just that things like 2-2B on Oki is really like that's a situation you want to get the most of that you can.
Right. Okay. So there's questionable decisions. Like there's hard call outs, but then there's just like
Yeah, like that wasn't calling
that's
anything
just like
out. It's just like
yeah,
what is
that's
it?
just like why are you doing that? That's not
Yeah.
that's clearly suboptimal.
And
So I don't
6-2-3 spacing as well. It's fine to use as like a BE catch, but there was a few times where he just was too far for it to reach, so you could have used the C version. Yeah, just I mean, the options might have some merit, but it's probably better to put a bit more thought into when you use them.
So
yeah.
you'd recommend like going by the book just to
Yeah,
slightly
I mean the book
a bit
exists
more,
because it works.
the book's
right?
yeah, try it,
Yeah.
but when you've got a feeling, I mean, for sure,
I mean,
run
a
with
lot
it.
of like it probably helped Knight's kind of mentality in the set, which is a big part. So I mean, it's not without its merits.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, like we said, Knight definitely thrives on the momentum,
Yeah,
right? He
that's
loves like, yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how he acts when he's losing because quite often I've never really seen. I don't see him lose that often, but
yeah, like
well,
in our sets, he does play pretty smart. Like he doesn't do anything like that. He doesn't do anything very questionable. He does...
I'm wondering more about the emotional state as the set progresses, right? I mean people naturally slow down a bit as they're losing, or do they ramp? I mean, this is the type of thing, right? I mean, I'm sure Knight Knight never slows down.
Yeah, it's yeah, I think he's a very kind of mentally active. Like he's really keen. So he
Seems
really,
like it, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's on his mentality and kind of that kind of play. It worked out okay here. That's something for him to think about. Another thing that I think he could have actually improved is a bit more awareness of the opponent's spirit. This kind of applies to Eterpay too. There are a few moments for both of them where they could have gone for a crush, or at least forced to be, like if they didn't be, they would be crushed, that kind of scenario. They just weren't quite taking them as often as they should have been. With Knight, especially since he's running that 2-2 wave. It's something you want to leverage that card if you're running it as much as you can. So go for those big, 3-orb airtight crushes with like 3A wrong block, 2B, 6C, 2-2C. It's like a big chunk of spirit that's all airtight, just to force a B. And then you can kind of add more mind games to catch the Bs after that.
Right.
Like a big theme in me and JD, the set that we commentated, was that it's good to establish what you can do first. I think it's better to kind of go for the greedy beating guard options first, and then baiting. Actually, not necessarily. It's just good to have an objective, like where you start and what you want to achieve.
Well, I think it depends on who you're. I mean, fact of it is we're a small community. We kind of know each other by now, so I guess like gauge who it is you're fighting, the character you're fighting, and either go for greed or go for absolute solidity based on that. I mean, against Oku, for instance, there's no way I'm not keeping that tight every single time.
That's true. You
Against
don't want to give it room.
against Sakuya though, her wake up is so bad that players are enticed to keep it safe more often than not.
Yeah.
So you might be more willing to go for the greedier stuff. Gauge, and then there's the player matchup, right? Against somebody like Knight. Even Crave, a lot of Meiling players actually. Yeah, like I said, give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Give them any space on wake up, they'll high jump out, they'll attack, they'll backdash. So yeah, against
a lot of
players
player reading going on there.
that you think are like that, keep it tight. against players who like me, or I guess who are too scared. Keep it. Try some mix-ups. Depends on who you're fighting.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of reading, but I think Knight could have just implemented a bit more of those greedy airtight options, because he didn't do much of those. And that is a big benefit of running that 2-2. So yeah, that's something you can incorporate in future matches. What else?
Right. Yeah. Anything else? What do you want to add to this? We're approaching time here, yeah.
Yeah, actually we are. Let's see. Just, I guess, yeah, Knight had some. That's super. I guess a bit more hand awareness too. There was a few points where both of them could have closed the game. I think it was more prevalent with Knight, where he just didn't quite swap to the right card for the right situation. He just wasn't ready for that confirm into big damage, which would have closed the game. But that's something that I'm sure he's aware of and is working towards anyway. So, yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of heat at the moment stuff.
Yeah,
like we
it's true.
said,
And
it's all well and good
pretty
to
sure
backseat
Knight
game
gets
when we can
pretty-
slow it down by
Yeah.
75%, right?
The
But,
game isn't incredibly fast. Like,
yeah, I mean,
everything's
look at the
working, yeah.
pace that Knight is moving around
Yeah.
here. I'm sure, but like this is ladder A, all right, and
this is
we're
where
moving into the top echelon of players, and if you want to improve, you got to accept. I guess you got to
That's true.
accept the hard route. That's the only way.
You gotta get what you can. You gotta take every hit you can get, I guess. Yeah, so that's one thing for Knight. I mean, not much to explain for the Sakuya matchup for him, because he's just played me so many times. But actually, he could clean up his inputs though. I'll say that to everyone.
Yeah, I see a lot of A. I see far too many A's there, so
Yeah.
come on. Take your finger off that tap.
Hard to fault him too much in this set. He played very well. One thing I'd like to tell Eterpay though, other than what we've already said, is he did land a few air unblockable forays, which is really good to see him go for. But you want to maximize the damage you get off those with 6-2-3Bs, the optimal way to confirm off those. So that is understandably pretty tight. So even just an attempted 2B, depending on range, can connect. Just being able to get more damage off those would really mean a lot for you to pay. So that's something to consider.
Right.
Yeah.
And how would he go about, how do people go about training each and every single hit confirm that exists in this game? Right. I mean, do you take it into training mode? Do you just play a lot and really focus on it during matches? Is that the best way? Like, how do you practice this kind of thing? It's so situational.
I mean, of course, I just played a ton back in the chef.
Well, yeah, I mean,
days.
granted.
But you can go into versus CPU and press F1 for infinite HP. And because the AI kind of moves around a lot, you can practice a lot of like not too complicated things like border escape catches, since it doesn't border escape, but you can just
I've noticed you can't practice defense, really, but what you can practice, the CPU mostly uses bullets, but yeah, random things tend to hit them, and they tend to get counter hit very, very randomly. So I guess it's a good hit confirm training for getting limit on every single hit.
And a great Oki practice there too, though now the more efficient lab tool doesn't necessarily.
Well, I've noticed the CPU back techs into the corner way too much. I prefer they tech that a bit more, but you know, it has its uses for sure.
The times have changed, and if you would like the advanced lab tools, you
please give me that. You give me that good stuff. Yes, I need to get good at it.
So yeah, that's all available now, which is I think
hit the pins. Yeah. Hit the wiki, hit the pins.
Yeah,
we got that stuff.
Knight's got his Oki pretty good, other than those J5Bs.
Well, I mean,
Eterpay, I think, especially against Meiling, everyone could use practice against her wake up. So it might benefit him to just hit that lab tool, random wake up, random action on wake up against Meiling, and just see if he can land those consistent meteors.
Yeah, put on some good music and just like keep at it for a few hours, listen to a podcast or something, and then come out the other end and see how consistent you are the next time you play someone.
I know this isn't necessarily a fault, but his deck had some, Eterpay's deck had some interesting cards. We saw the Phantom Killer in the Nighttime Mist. I feel like he was running these interesting cards, and we just didn't see how he was going to use them. He ended up not using them, which is a shame because he probably did have something in mind, which might have helped him win there. So yeah, it's I guess that ties into the card usage, or maybe even deck optimization. I'm assuming he had a good use in mind for it, but if he didn't,
Well,
yeah.
talk to you directly for advice on that kind of thing, I guess.
Not a card I'd personally recommend, but who knows? It's always good to experiment, as long as you have a good goal in mind with the card.
All right.
Yeah. So that's
yeah,
most of
3-1 tonight.
Yeah, congratulations tonight for taking this ladder match against Eterpay. This is our ladder A, so this is definitely our stronger players. You'll notice Knight especially often places quite high in ornaments. So
Yeah, he's a WoW Tournament champion, isn't
yeah,
he?
he is a WoW Tournament champion. Oh, yes, he did one.
He's a WoW Tournament champion, a recent one as well.
Yes.
Although Liang is our most recent one. More on that later, though. We'll keep you informed on WoW Tournament updates. I believe I heard something about Tom.
Yes,
I'm not going to give too much away, but we'll talk about. Keep an eye out. Keep your eyes peeled. Yeah, so I think we're about ready to call it here, aren't we?
Actually, just before we finish, I want to really emphasize, really good to see Eterpay climbing up to ladder A, and a really, really good match against Knight. Like Knight is one of our top players, and just to see Eterpay climb up from ladder B to A and put up a really convincing fight, especially at the start against such a experienced player from our community.
No, Eterpay's sick. No, he's beaten me in WoW Tournaments pretty consistently.
Really great to see.
He knows. For sure. He's a good player. Good player.
It's exciting to see where these players go from here. So yeah, I think with that we'll conclude today's analysis of Eterpay versus Knight from ladder A in the 12th ladder season of OCE. I'd like to thank our main host, Nerk.
Oh, please. You did all the work, sir. Thank you, Klempfer, for being here, providing your insight. I'm sure the players are going to take away plenty from this.
I'm just glad.
Especially Eterpay.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder for me to consistently win against these players. Knight took his first game against me ever quite recently, like maybe a month or two ago, and yeah, it's so I'm starting to get threatened by a kind of newer batch of players, like the non-10-year ago batch. So
yeah, another good important point to point out. You guys, if you guys think you're at a wall because you can't beat one person, like for years even, know that people notice your slight improvements. You are improving.
I'm really seeing, like, Knight's always improving. It's amazing to see, and like I said, Eterpay, amazing player recently. Last one, I mean, he placed top 8, which is what got him here in ladder A. So
yeah, improvements are not dictated by your results, that's for sure.
That's right.
So definitely.
For small victories in your own play, that's really important to focus on, I think.
Alright.
Yeah, so with that, I think we'll finish up.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. I hope everyone had something to take away from this analysis, and keep an eye out for our next episode, which will be coming soon. Probably be me and JD, or maybe Nerk and JD. We'll see. We're planning to cycle between us.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So yeah, and keep an eye out for the legendary return of TOM coming soon, maybe.
Oh yeah, looking forward to that one.
Okay, and
thanks guys.
We'll be signing off. Thank you.
See ya.